Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 362. We are recording this and broadcasting live on Sunday, March 14th, 2021. I'm David Lott. Joining me as always is Bobby Jackson.
Hey guys, what's up?
And Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
Hey guys. How's it going?
Going all right. Been a while.
It's going all right. It's it's been a little while since we've had all four of us, but we keep getting different combinations of two or three of us for each show. So this is this week's combination, me, Bobby, and Yasha. So it's good to see you guys. And what's been going on? What's the latest?
Good to be seen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a different time this time around that we've all gotten together because it felt like before we were pretty much same old. Now it feels like with some of the vaccines coming out and people getting vaccinated and things are starting to open up, it feels like we're just about ready to turn a corner, and we'll see how things go with
just knock on wood
break.
Really hard, yeah.
Because
spring break in Florida is going to fuck the whole world.
Oh yeah, we'll try.
So we'll see. You'll try.
That's why you guys are shaped like
right
a dick
that.
because you're just getting ready to fuck everybody. Like strap you on, baby.
Bend
Strap
over,
in.
America.
Get ready for a ride. Bend over and get ready for the
no
real raw
response
dog.
to this. I don't deny anything you're saying. I'm not saying I'm going to be out on the beaches, bringing COVID back, but yeah, that's my state. That's Florida.
I heard an interesting statistic today from a friend of mine who follows this stuff very closely. Fortunately, it sounds like, Orange County, not Orange County in Florida, Orange County in California, everybody.
Right.
Orange County in Florida, it's 1 out of every 100,000 people have COVID now, which is pretty huge in my book, in my opinion. I don't know how accurate that fact is.
No, this
California. Is in California, Orange County, where we live.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully that's accurate, and hopefully that's what's going on, and we're definitely headed in the right direction. Man, we really need it to head in the right direction, and hopefully things definitely get better.
I'll feel bad when I see, like, I think I saw a tweet today, I forget whose account it was, talking about like reminiscing of seeing a movie in a movie theater and how long it's been. And I know there's so many parts of the country that you guys haven't been able to watch movies. And I'm like, I mean, not that it hasn't been a normal experience going to the movie theater here in Florida. I mean, it's still, there's not as many people there, but I'm like, I've been able to go to a movie for a while now.
Yeah, you've been living it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really haven't. Like I've been to some movies in a movie theater, but I haven't even been to a lot. Yeah, I've had the opportunity. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So speaking of movie theaters, let's dive in. Let me ask a question. Speaking of movie theaters, really quickly, I want to kind of dive into a question.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I have a question in regards to all of a sudden this Avatar is again the reigning box office champion and taking over from Avengers. I am all against that, and I am team against that because that movie came out like 10 years ago now? Almost 10 years ago? Maybe 9, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. You don't get to just reclaim it because more people are streaming it or whatever the case. It hasn't had a huge box office resurgence or anything to that nature. How have you reclaimed the title? I am Team Avengers all day on this.
I mean,
Go ahead,
what?
David. Explain it.
Well, so technically it got a re-release in China, right? That's my understanding. Yeah. I don't know how long it's been released in China again.
Since this past week.
It is technically making box office money in China right now. And there it is. Like that's how it happened. Which I didn't know that. I think I had seen the tweet or Instagram post from the Russo brothers, kind of congratulating James Cameron and passing the baton back to Avatar. And I'm like, wait, what is happening right now? I had no idea. It got a re-release in China, and there it is. So
That's absolute trash. I'm not on board with that. Not for a movie that came out almost a decade ago.
you
Like
feel
I'm
like
gonna look up to see exactly
only the
when it came
original
out.
run should count toward like, is that
Yes,
okay?
So how will
that's
you
where I'm
feel,
at with it.
Yasha, if how will you feel if they re-release
End
Endgame and
game.
then it takes the crown back? Will you still think that's trash that they re-released it
No,
and
I
it
will
took it
support
back?
that 100%, and
Oh, that's
I
okay.
will
So you
support
just
that
don't want
100%.
Avatar.
And I understand how contradicting that is. I understand how contradicting that
You
is,
just don't.
and I don't care. Yes,
You
this
just
movie
don't want
came out
Avatar
in
to have the crown.
it came out in 2009. No, it's not even okay. It's not even that. Like, I mean, all right, if we're gonna play by those rules, then I mean, Gone with the Wind is the most profitable movie in the box office. Period. You know, you want to just for inflation or whatever the case may be. But if you're gonna play by the rules that it's like, oh well, we re-released it in China, and since China's back in the green and doing okay, we're gonna count that towards box office. Okay, well
Mm.
that's fine because it's like they just barely beat out Avengers. If we decided to do that with if they decided to do that with Endgame, welcome back to the theaters or whatever and stuff like that, and re-released it globally, then yeah, Avengers would definitely take it back over. I have no doubt in my mind that it would. I'll tell you right now, if they release that back into the theater, I'll go and I will give my money to make sure that it does what I do my part for it to pass over Avatar.
See it multiple times.
I watch it all the time now.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I just get to go see it on the big screen again. That's the awesome part.
Where are you at with it, David? I'm curious.
I
Yasha's
mean,
brought it up.
uh, I mean, it is what it is. I guess that's where I am with it. I mean, I would actually argue. I guess there's something that's how to put it. Like it feels right when you really only would count like the original run. Like basically, once it leaves theaters, it can't go back. Like
Yeah,
that
agreed.
that
Agreed.
would seem like the fair kind of like normal way to do it. I mean, short of, if you really wanted to get, I guess, technical, it's like you pointed out, Yasha, like adjusting for inflation, it seems not fair to a lot of the movies that were released many, many years ago that they're not the box office champ because of when they came out. Same will go for Endgame and Avatar one day, you would think, depending on what happens with movie theaters, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That's my boring kind of answer to
I
that
don't
one.
know. According to IMDb, according to Box Office Mojo, I should say top lifetime grosses by MPAA rating. Star Wars: The Force Awakens is number one. Avengers: Endgame is right behind it, and then Avatar is number three, and then Black
That's
Panther is four,
domestic,
and
though,
Infinity
right?
War is number five.
Is that
Yeah, this is
domestic?
probably domestic.
Yeah, that
Well,
must be.
it just says lifetime gross. It says overall lifetime gross. So I didn't filter out for everything else. But either way, like okay, so getting away from the numbers and everything like that, Bobby, where do you stand when it comes to that?
You know what? I guess I'm not mad at it necessarily, only because I feel like to me that it's sort of the thing where David said it got re-released, so then yeah, it would take the crown. But then it's a same thing. It's if we got a re-release of Endgame, then that would take the crown, and they would just keep leapfrogging each other every time because then you know that once the new Avatar movies come out, they might re-release Avatar again in the theaters to get people primed and ready for the new Avatar movies. So they can keep playing that game, and I guess that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. So I don't really care that it overtook it because to me, in my mind, I'm going by original run, and so I guess I still consider that Endgame is still the in its original run the number one box office movie of all time. So if they want to celebrate and have that as a victory that they re-released and were able to take it back, that I don't that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't
Yeah.
bother me.
I'm sorry we're not as worked up about it, Yasha.
No, I'm not. I'm not super worked up on it, but it's like you guys. I mean, I find it kind of ridiculous, and it seems like we kind of have the same viewpoint when it comes to that. Like, I mean, I have no
Mm.
doubt in my mind that if Endgame did get re-released, then it would definitely take over the crown again. So we would just go back and forth, and like Bobby said, it would just leapfrog back and forth over and over again.
Yeah.
I think it's very polite of the Russo brothers to just pass the crown, I guess you can say. Again, you know, even though it's like his movie came out 9 years ago, and I mean, what's the re-release for? It's like I don't know. Like we might get another Avatar movie in the next 5 years or so. Like I don't see him doing. I don't see him releasing that movie anytime soon. Especially even after the pandemic, when they're just going to allow like 20 or 40% capacity in the theaters. He's going to want like full capacity people to get that money, and hopefully he'll be able to get the attention of people to want to actually go and do it. Because personally, I honestly don't care anymore. Like, I just don't know what could be really that interesting for this movie. I mean, I'll watch it probably, but at this point, I'm really over the delay for this sequel. And, you know, this has taken long enough. I'm like, all right, man, whatever. You're really capitalizing on that wave of, you know, excitement for Avatar.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Is it officially due this year, like late this year or next year?
I couldn't remember if it was this year or next year.
I couldn't
but
either. We're so
it's
thrown
one of the
off
two.
with everything being delayed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I suspect it's next year only because I know that Spider-Man comes out in December of this year. It could very well be this year. They have two movies coming out in December, but I thought maybe they'd give one the breathing room so that maybe Avatar was next year.
I mean,
But
according
could
to
be
what
wrong.
I'm seeing, it's December 16th of next year, 2022
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm seeing too.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a little bit of time.
definitely.
All right. So we weren't able to do a show last week. It's been a little bit. I know we've all watched probably a lot of stuff, or maybe not so much. I guess it depends. But I mean, we can only really go an hour, so we'll fit in what we can, especially due to that lovely time change and how late it already is here on the East Coast. But what have you guys been watching lately? I think you guys both watched Coming to America. And and sadly, I have only seen half of the movie. I started it, I haven't finished it, and that's not to you know, already kind of spoil my thoughts on it. It was purely like I started it late, and I really had to go to bed, and I was like, oh, I'll finish it tomorrow, and I just haven't gotten around to finishing it. You know, that's my MO, I guess. But what did you guys think of that movie, Bobby? Why don't you go first?
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, for me, the Coming to America, the original movie, is no doubt, hands down, in my top five comedies of all time. I can quote that movie verbatim when you start it up and just go through to almost annoying effect because I've seen it so many times. So, for this movie, I went into it with level expectations because there's just no touching that classic. I mean, you can't, it's in a category by itself. You can't expect it to be on that level. And so I think that's where I went into this one with, and it lived up to those expectations. I think the movie was okay. It was fine. Um, I laughed a few times. I thought there was definitely some feelings of nostalgia, being able to see some of these characters again, and you know, years later. I think that there was some weakness in the story level of it. I think that the addition of Jermaine Fowler and Leslie Jones, uh, it was okay. I think that's probably where my level where I level out as it being an okay movie is because I felt like anytime it pulled attention away from Eddie and Arsenio and some of the other stuff, and it focused more on Jermaine, I didn't care as much. I didn't really feel as invested in his storyline and his character. I thought it was just decent. It didn't really get a lot of laughs from me in terms of what he was doing, but it by no means was it bad. It's just that I think everybody else in the movie is operating on such a high level, and I found honestly that to be quite refreshing and very uh, a happy thing to be able to see that Eddie Murphy can still be able to ride this and still be able to perform at a level where it's been a while in terms of seeing him do this kind of thing. The last movie he had out, which was directed by Craig Brewer as well, was Dolomite Is My Name, and I thought that movie was hilarious, very funny, very raw and on the edge. And this movie is a little bit more toned down because it's PG-13, because he has a family, and it kind of caters and feels like that, not necessarily to a detriment, but it is part of it, that it sort of rubs off the hard edges of it a little bit. And I think that mostly just the addition of some of the newer stuff is what tampered it a bit. And I feel like, even though, well, I think a good mark of this movie for me, the fact that I'm saying that it's okay, I would go back and watch it again. I would watch it again. So I think me being able to say I would at least go back and watch it again is enough of a recommendation to say that I enjoyed it for what it is. Not on the level of the original movie, not that it could be, but it was still an enjoyable experience that I would watch it a second time.
All right, Yasha, what did you think?
I mean, I don't know if I can actually say that I echo Bobby's statement, wholeheartedly, but I mean, he really nailed it on the head there. I mean, in all honesty, like, there's really not much that I can add. I mean, Coming to America, the original, holds a very special place in my heart. I have seen it numerous times, and I could probably recite that just like Bobby can at any point in time during the movie. It was full of nostalgic jokes and leaned heavy on pulling at people's hearts when it comes to watching that movie and remembering how amazing he really is and really was back in the day. There were some really great moments. There were some really cheesy moments, a little predictable. But aside from that, I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. Just a nostalgic, fun film. There were some really underlining jokes throughout the film that if you weren't familiar with his career at the very beginning of his life, or when he was so huge in the 80s, then you probably wouldn't get it that much. But it was enjoyable, and on all honesty, I could probably sit through it again. I did dig it. Like, it was fine. Like, I mean, there's really not much more that I can say that Bobby hasn't already said. It was an enjoyable, movie. It wasn't something that I'm going to slam and say, oh, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. He really just leaned heavy on, the nostalgia when it came to all of the characters and the loved characters that he had from the first one. So yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but based on what I have seen, it was off to a really not good start for me. Like the first 5 or 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh, I don't even know if I could watch this. This is not good." And then as the actual kind of story arc really kind of got going, I was like, "Okay, this is getting better." And then, of course, I haven't finished it yet, so go. I'm not gonna share my thoughts past that since I really can't share my final thoughts on the film yet. But that's where I am so far.
Well, love to hear what you think once you get a chance to finish it.
Yeah, I'll definitely finish it because I mean I will say, like you guys, the first film is way up there for me. I could probably also recite just about every line, if not every line. I've watched it a ton. I love that first movie, so I want to finish it. I went into it with not great expectations. I was like, this. I have a bad feeling this is not going to be good. But it's a sequel to Coming to America. I have to see at least if it's really bad or if it's really great. I don't know. I hadn't heard any reaction to it when I jumped into it. But yeah, I'll definitely finish it.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys watch anything else that you wanted to bring up? I guess we haven't even, the WandaVision finale happened, right? Have we talked about the finale on here?
No.
I'm so thrown off. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know if we want to talk spoilers, but
I mean, at this point, it seems like we should be able to.
I guess we could if you guys want to. I mean, yeah, we could. What did you guys think of that finale? I kind of forgot that we haven't had a chance to discuss it.
Did you want to jump in, Yasha, or you want me to give my thoughts first on it?
No, I'll do this one. I'll start here,
All
just
right,
because you got a chance to do Coming to America. I don't know if I have really gotten a chance to talk too deeply about the show overall in a whole, my viewpoints. I loved this show so much. It was so weird, so obscure it was probably one of the most creative things, creatively driven shows that I've ever watched, and how it all tied together. I thought it was brilliant, and I was not disappointed in the direction, part of me, that they went to with with the finale. I was thoroughly pleased with the finale. I couldn't have been happier. I mean, it was exciting. I found myself like raising my hands in like triumph, um, when it was happening, and it's just, it was fantastic. I'm trying to do it as spoil free as possible here, but it
Yeah, I
was
mean,
fantastic. I mean,
I think you can spoil. I
yeah,
mean, it's been
I
2 weeks at this point.
it's been a
Well,
little while.
yeah,
I think anybody who's watched
it's a
it
week.
I mean,
is
I don't
gonna
even
watch
know
it, has
what I
watched
could
it.
talk about that would. Yeah, I don't even know what I should talk about when it comes to spoiling, because it's like there's really no point in that. Like, I mean, I
Mm.
loved the fact that she was in her traditional esque type costume that she had. She fully accepted and almost got, she took the name the Scarlet Witch, and she owned the shit out of it, and she
Mhm.
just embraced how badass she really is, and it was so much fun to see. And the after scenes, the mid credit scenes, I mean, there's a lot of people that are upset about, and I've seen this, that they haven't seen Mephisto, and that, you know, they didn't really do a deep dive into the multiverse, and they didn't do any of this, and they didn't. I don't care. I don't care. Like, would I have loved to see that? Absolutely, sure. Why not? But you know what? They wrap this up, and I think it will do a direct lead into um, the Doctor Strange sequel. I think it's going to do a direct lead into that, and I'm here for all of it. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Doctor Strange and where they go with that, because they did hint at, you know, the Sorcerer Supreme, so they did bring him up, and I know that I'm sure I'm missing some of the Easter eggs that they dropped, but I am so excited to see where this goes and how this really incorporates with the rest of the thing. And I can't exclaim enough how brilliant this really was. Like, I thought it was fantastic. I tell everybody, I was like, it's one of the most creatively written shows that I've ever seen, and it's brilliant, and it keeps you guessing as to what's happening or what's going to happen next, and the payoff is going to be huge. Like, my cousin didn't actually start watching it until I think the fifth or sixth episode, because he felt that if he got bored, he was going to check out, because he wasn't really sure how it was with the whole first two episodes being the black and white television show and everything like that. And the payoff, it really, really gets you there. Like, it's really awesome. I was actually messaging with a friend of mine today, and she said that she cried at the end of this movie, this show. And to me, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, I did get a little gushy. Like, it was emotional. This show was fantastic. I absolutely can't say enough good things about it. I think it was brilliant.
All right, Bobby.
Yeah. So for me, I don't watch the Olympics all that much, but when I have seen certain things, that's the way I can kind of compare WandaVision is like a floor routine where you see someone and they're starting off and you're kind of like, okay, they're doing a couple twirls. Where are they going with this routine? I don't really see anything special that they're doing. And then they start doing some maneuvers, and you're like, whoa, oh crap. Like, I didn't know you could do that. That was kind of awesome. And then you're like getting into the routine and they're doing all this stuff. And then they hit that dismount and then they hit the mat and then they kind of move their foot a little bit and it sort of stumbles. And that's kind of how I felt about the finale itself. Overall, I enjoyed the series, and for all of the reasons that Yasha just pretty much put forth, as far as it being a huge swing by Marvel to do something like this on this level, to not do something that's run of the mill or something that's paint by numbers. I admire and love the fact that they did something completely different and out of the box. But within the context of that, um, I thought the build-up got better and better each week, and then within the finale, um, I take out all of the theories out. I think that this finale served what they were doing within the series perfectly in terms of wrapping up Wanda and Vision's story. I felt like when you take a step back, and if any of those fan theories had became real and true, it would have taken away from what initially the story was about and just being about them too. So I appreciate and like the fact that they really still kept it about that and didn't play into some of the fan theories that were going on. And, you know, I know a lot of people are pretty sore that their theories didn't work out. And luckily, I've learned that lesson long ago to not really jump on that board of getting too invested in theories for that very reason. So where I think it stumbled for me in the finale is not necessarily in what they did. It was just the pacing of it. It all felt like it was a season finale slash series finale, in that it all kind of came to a head quickly. And the more and more I think about it, the more I feel like you you didn't necessarily need to change anything for me in terms of what they did, but give me one more episode, and where this episode could have ended would have been fine where the battle ended. And they give me one full episode as an epilogue of Wanda going back home with the family and saying her goodbyes. 30 minutes of that, I think, would have capped it off nicely for me and brought it back down to what it was in the beginning and just being about them. I think having it all in that one episode just compressed it a little too much for me and made it feel a little too much like they were trying to go for the movie feel when it didn't necessarily have to be that. And I think they could have stuck to the formula of what they were doing and really ended it nicely with just that coda, with just them being on their own with the family again and having some more of those moments, because that was what resonated with mostly, because there wasn't a ton of action in the show. So you only had to resonate with the character beats and the interactions between those two. So I would have liked more time with that aspect of it as a finale, more so than the action, which sounds weird because it's a Marvel thing and you would think that the action would be what I'm tuning in for, but this didn't treat it that way, so I didn't feel that way about it. So ultimately, I really did love the show, and I'm so happy that they did what they did with it. And to have this kind of come out and set the tone, it makes me look forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier that much more this Friday when it comes out. So I think it did its job in terms of laying the framework and the foundation for what the Marvel Cinematic Universe can be like on a TV in a streaming service, and being able to say, yeah, we can play in this medium as well and still be able to tell good stories. I think they're doing a good job with that. And I think with, just like I said, just a few little missteps in the finale, I was overall happy with the series and looking forward to everything else that they'll continue doing with the MCU on Disney Plus.
Yeah, as for me, I mean, I've shared my thoughts on like how the show got started on here before. For those who haven't heard, I mean, yeah, I thought this show, the first couple episodes, was off to an odd start for me, just because it was really just out of nowhere. Kind of, there wasn't enough, I think, in those first two episodes to really, I think, lay somewhat of groundwork as to what was kind of happening. I mean, with that said, the show, all in all, I thought was fantastic. I really enjoyed the finale, actually. I really don't have any problems with the finale. There's one moment I think I kind of bumped on in that finale that, I mean, I guess since we're talking about spoilers, I can bring up in a second. But, and now that it's done, sure, the whole show as a whole it really, really works. It's a great idea. I mean, I think it's easy now that I've seen the whole thing and know what the whole idea was, it's easy to look back and go, hey, this was a fantastic show. But excuse me, I can't forget like how I felt as a viewer watching those first couple episodes going, I know there's something going on here, but it's almost too cryptic. Like it's almost like too, I have no, like it made me almost want to go, do I want to keep watching this? I mean, obviously as an MCU fan I was going to, but you know, I don't know. I still think they should have aired those first 3 episodes the first weekend and not just 2. I think that would have been smarter. But
can I say something about that?
Yeah, please.
So there was an interview with the, I believe it's the showrunner, Jack Schaefer,
Mhm.
or maybe it was the director, the series. I can't remember which one, but they said that initially they had planned to air all three episodes that first night, but what kept them from being able to do that was COVID, and because of COVID had to stop production for stuff, they had to run later on certain episodes. So in order to be able to pace it right, so that you didn't have a break all of a sudden because we couldn't finish everything, they had to not release that last third episode the same way on that same night as the first two. So they had to wait till the next week. Otherwise, they had planned on doing all three in that first night and go from there, which makes sense because, like you said, everything that you just said. So uh, it was one of those things where it was unavoidable just because of the circumstances we found ourselves in.
That makes sense because that third episode just does feel like kind of the ending of a almost single thought. Like
Yeah.
it felt like it would have made sense to basically have those first three episodes either as one big episode or split into three and all released on the same day. That so hearing that makes sense. It's unfortunate they weren't able to do that,
Yeah.
but yeah, all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I thought the finale was great. I mean, we're talking spoilers. The only thing I really bumped on was that moment when it's kind of the battle's all done and Wanda's walking away, and everyone in the town is like looking at her like with death ray vision. And was it Monica Rambeau makes that comment about they don't know what you sacrifice for them, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, like her reaction and that whole thing. I'm like, this has been pretty bad. Like she's been keeping them hostage for how long? Like, and some of them can't get to their kids. Like it seems like their kids are like locked up in the basement, and like it's not good. Like, there was something
Right.
about the feeling of that moment that didn't feel like it truly kind of justified, or I don't think that's the right word. It didn't really truly. It sounds like you were going to say something,
Let's
It
Bobby.
felt
Go
like
unpack
they
ahead.
were
it.
trying to.
Let's
It felt like
unpack
they were
it.
trying to empathize,
Yeah,
to try and build some empathy for Wanda in regards to how she felt, but at the same time, because she had like the last few scenes, it really kind of vilified her because it really showed that she did have the entire town like under control, and them all like shooting her the death eyes, and the evil eye and stuff like that. It's like, well, we got to do something to kind of soften the blow because she is supposed to be our hero, and like it's like kind of like threw that line in there. But I understand where you're coming from.
it almost seems like if only her reaction had been something more along the lines of "No, I deserve it," like
Yeah,
I this is like something along those lines that would have worked. It was more, I think, her kind of line of like, "Oh, they'll always look at me with how I forget what the line was." That that's what I
yeah.
bumped on. It didn't quite work for me. But Bobby, it seems like
So
you're stewing with something you want to say.
somewhat. So I guess for me, I read it the same way that you guys read it. But what I tend to think about is that with Kevin Feige behind this stuff and knowing how these things are going to go and flow, I have to suspect that he's aware of how that reads as well. And so to me, that there's more to come for that. I think that we're not necessarily supposed to leave this show feeling, uh, oh, she everything is fine. She should be forgiven. I think that there's somewhat more to come in Doctor Strange's movie as to where do we find ourselves with Wanda and how are we supposed to feel about her because they don't tie it up in the end of her series as far as she took a whole town hostage and we all know that she did, and she's admitted as much as when fake Pietro says, says, "Oh, this is really cool what you did," and she's like, "You don't think it's too bad or something?" She knows that she's doing this thing, so
Mhm.
there's a long line of history of her character and Pietro's character of being on the wrong side. their father is Magneto in the comics for a long period of time, and they were part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So I think there's something to be explored there later on with, is Wanda somebody that is supposed to be a out and outright hero because of the things that she's done? Are we supposed to look at her as something in between, and that's supposed to be okay? I don't know, because if you think about it, that should be the same type of questions people should be asking about the Winter Soldier. I mean, he straight up killed Iron Man's parents. Granted, he was brainwashed, but he's done some bad things. So are we supposed to just say, well, he did some bad things, but he's the star of the show, so we got to be on board and he's a hero? So I think they're going into an area where we're supposed to be as an audience asking these questions about these quote unquote heroes that were presenting to us. Are they all the way one thing or not? And I think that by leaving that open, it leaves it open for discussion and open for further exploration in future movies or series. So I think that the read is right, that she didn't apologize. She didn't make amends in any kind of way. She didn't get put on the raft or someplace where she should be held accountable. But I feel like that's not just something they'll drop the ball on, but
it's not
will be
an
addressed
accident
at some point. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're right when you consider already the reaction to what she did at whatchamacallit, and what was the city that all the destruction? Why am I
Sokovia?
I guess yes.
No,
not Sokovia.
You're talking about in
Civil War.
Was that the Winter Soldier or Civil War? Yeah. All of a sudden, I can't think of the name.
I can't think of it either. But anyway, at the big opening of Civil War, there's the destruction that happened there, and she already feels a lot of guilt, and there's already kind of eyes on her about that. And then with this, her line, I guess, does. I get what you're saying. I'll be curious to see how it plays out. But it is something that in the moment watching the episode, I was like kind of bumped on, like, oh, this. Like for Monica Rambeau to even deliver the, hey, they don't know what you sacrificed to them, to like almost try to make her feel better. Like even that does still feel a little like, yeah, but it's pretty bad.
I don't know how you go about trying to ease her pain.
But again, I just to tie my thoughts up. Yeah, I overall I thought the show was great. I can't wait for Falcon and the Winter Soldier this Friday. And I could see rewatch. I haven't rewatched any of WandaVision yet, but also watching it was an interesting experience for me, not being the really well-read Marvel guy. Like, I'm seeing all this fan theory stuff kind of almost on the outside. I was seeing all of it, but for me, not knowing even all the references, like Agatha Harkness and what was it, Mephisto, is that his name? And all these other ideas being thrown around. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. So I definitely wasn't, overly kind of like tied into any of these fan theories that when they didn't happen, it bothered me. I think it's unfortunate, the culture right now where it's fun. I mean, this is what we do. We theorize on stuff, and it's fun to do that. Yeah. But to do it so much that then when the show doesn't do what you were hoping it was going to do, and then you're super bummed out by it, that's a bummer. That you're going into it with so much baggage of all your theories that you can't even just enjoy what the creator's trying to give you. I think is unfortunate, but for someone like for someone like me who didn't like know any of that stuff anyway, it was like I had a good time. Like I kind of wish the reveal of Agatha could have been a little more surprising, even if I didn't know who she was. It was like I was already expecting it because everyone else told me I should. So that was too bad.
Yeah, no, I wish that people wouldn't speculate quite as much as just like you said, David. Like I really don't want to have to do it. I don't want to have it spoiled for me at all. Like I think I had heard about Agatha, but I didn't really pay attention, or maybe I didn't really know about Agatha because I had to do like a deep dive. Just like, wait, who is Agatha again? Like that sounds really familiar. Like sometimes I really just like to try and watch the show just for watching the show and be surprised, not do spoilers, not see anything above hand. Like when we all have done at times, like you watch one trailer, you don't need to see any more. You don't want to see any more.
Yeah.
You just want to
Right.
go in and literally just do it. I love reading about this stuff and doing dives and everything like that when it comes to learning about movies and everything like you guys. But there are times when it's just like, okay, I'm more apt to doing that after the movie comes out opposed to doing it before, because I don't want to have something spoiled for me when I'm getting ready to go watch the movie. I don't want to have that ruined when I'm getting ready to watch the show or the series, because I want to go in fresh and clean and really kind of like absorb it and enjoy it for what it is when it comes out.
Right.
Yeah. Lagos is the city.
Yeah.
That she did the building where it exploded.
Right.
And yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying as far as the fans, and I'm hoping that they take that as a lesson going forward, because some of them didn't experience it in the same way that others have, where there's been a weekly series and you have that time in between where it's like idle hands and you just kind of start thinking outside of the box, or trying to figure out what's going on and get ahead of the story before it's told. I mean, I think the last big thing that I remembered people doing that with was Lost. And it's been a while since Lost has been out. So there hasn't been a water cooler of that level of a show where everybody's been that invested in, that was week to week and in quite some time. So, you know, if this had dropped all at once, there wouldn't have been that ability for people to get caught up in theories. There just wouldn't have been. You'd have just binged it. So
Right.
I think that it's something people have to get reacclimated to, is the idea that if they're telling week to week stories, and if there is a quote unquote mystery box involved in some sort of degree, that don't let your imaginations run well. Let your imagination run wild, but don't get so invested in it that if what your imagination has brought up doesn't happen, that you get upset about it, because that's just ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't expect your theories to work out and be mad if they don't.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, before we run out of time, there were a couple things I watched I want to bring up really quick. Over on Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus, there's a new documentary. There's a couple new movies. I didn't watch Cherry yet, which is the Russo brothers film. And I'll be honest, last night I was like, okay, I want to watch something. And I decided I'm going to either watch that or what I did watch. And sadly, what really tipped the balance for me was like, well, I jumped on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, ooh, Cherry's not getting good reaction. I don't know beyond I think I saw like a 38% score on Rotten Tomatoes for it. I don't know what the chatter's
Ouch.
been like for that movie, but it made me go, well, I'll spend my time watching something else, which was rated pretty high. I think 98%. It was the Billie Eilish documentary. What is it? The World's a little blurry. Yeah, Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry, which is a film that was directed by R.J. Cutler, documentary film that kind of, it follows the creation process of her debut studio album, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? And it's not short. I think it clocked in at like 2 hours 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long one. And
How long was it?
I think it was 2 hours 20-minute documentary. Yeah,
Jesus.
it was a long one. I'd be very curious to see what kind of general audience reaction is to watching it. I will say I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, I'm not like a diehard Billie Eilish fan, but I really like her music. I do enjoy her stuff, and so I was interested in checking it out just purely for that reason. And it is a fly in the wall documentary, which I tend to enjoy those kind of documentaries more. And it's just an interesting look to see about how someone this young is kind of dealing with fame, especially in the internet age of just immediate reaction on the internet and constantly being, you know, aware of what people are saying about every little thing you do that is shared online or wherever, and how she's kind of handling it. But
How old is she?
now I think she might be, is she 19 now? I don't know. I don't know if she's
Oh, wow.
still
Wow.
she's young.
I didn't know she was that young.
But
Yeah, she's 15 years old.
yeah. Yeah, in the film, I think it kind of spans the time that she's 17 and 18. She turns 18 in the movie. But it was I thought it was fascinating. Like I said, I'd be curious to see kind of general reaction because it in a lot of ways it feels like a concert film. There's definitely just long takes of like some of her shows. It's can be kind of drawn out at times. It's not a very fast-paced documentary if that's a thing. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, it's long, but if I think if you're at all a fan of hers, I think you'll find it entertaining. And yeah, I liked it a lot. It even has an intermission in it. Like I was kind of surprised by that. It was like, yeah, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I'm like, that's long, but I guess it's not. I mean, we've all watched movies that are much longer. So when an intermission like title card popped up, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. All right, I'll take a break. Sure.
David, do you know her full name?
I've seen it before, but I don't remember what it is. It's
Billie
Billie
Eilish.
Eilish
Billie
Pirate
Eilish,
Bear
Pirate Baird
Baird
O'Connell.
O'Connell. Yep, I see that now.
Oh, Pirate Bay.
That is wild.
Yeah, but I watched that. And then kind of I guess a side film that I watched that released on Netflix, Yes Day, with Jennifer Garner. I forgive me that not knowing any of the other actors and actresses in that film off the top of my head. Watched it with the family. It was a fun watch with the kids kind of movie. It wasn't like a me watching it by myself situation. You know, I was like, oh, looking for a good family film to watch, and the kids seemed interested after watching a trailer, so we checked it out. It was fun for that reason. Like I wouldn't go out of my way. It's not a great film. It's just kind of a fun, silly family affair, I guess is the best way to put it.
The basic premise of that is that the parents say yes to anything the kids say.
Yeah,
am I getting
basically the
that?
premise is Jennifer Garner's character, the mother, is really, really strict versus the father who is kind of the yes man in the household. He kind of lets the kids almost do whatever they want. So she's like the bad guy, and it's really come to a head of how the kids look at her as like the villain almost. So long story short, somebody recommends this idea of doing a yes day. That's something they did with their kids, and so she finally agrees to have a yes day, where the kids can basically, just ask for anything they want. And they have to say yes, short of some rules, like nothing that could, hurt anybody, or you can't ask for things in the future that they will have to agree to. I think there was a couple other rules, but
I just
yeah.
saw the trailer for that today, and it looked kind of cute and funny. Was it?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's cute and funny, like you just said. It's especially fun with the kids. The kids actually really seem to enjoy it, which, my kids are at an age where watching certain live action stuff, it's interesting to see what can hold their attention that's live action versus animated, and it was actually nice to see that this was a movie they actually kind of took to and enjoyed watching. So yeah, I liked it.
So were you not down to pay Disney $30 to watch Raya and the Last Dragon? I'm hearing good things.
Not yet. I want to. My kids have actually seen it, and I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
Not on my
Did
account.
they go to the theater or?
No. They saw it with my parents. They kind of had a night at the grandparents' house, and they watched it over there. So, and the kids said they liked it.
Pitching in the big bucks for it.
I guess I didn't realize when you pay for that, you basically then have access to
keep it
forever, as long as you have a Disney Plus subscription.
Right. Correct.
I guess once you give that up, then it's gone.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I mean, while we're on that subject, they just had an article out this past week saying that they had reached 100 million subscribers, which they had not planned on doing for a couple more years yet. So, they're rolling. So they're doing just fine.
And they're raising their price, aren't they?
$1, I think they said.
Is that all it is?
Okay. If it hasn't already happened, then it's sort of soon. But yeah, it was supposed to go up $1.
Because I went into the app today, and like there was like an asterisk or something on one of the icons, and I went over to it and it just kind of said, yeah, go to this link to see details about a price increase effective this date. I didn't do that yet, so I was like, I was curious what it's going up to. So yeah, $1.
This is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I'm looking
And I
at
did
it.
go in there today. I watched that the Marvel Studios Assemble documentary on WandaVision. I watched that
Yeah,
today.
that was really good.
That
That
was
was
good.
really good. I watched that as well.
I still need to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
was
fun
good.
to see where their mind was when it came to like creating everything, all the
Mhm.
music and everything for the show, the direction, the special effects for the early episodes. Like it's really interesting documentary, Bobby. It's one of the better ones that I've seen.
Okay.
I'm
Then I'll
just
definitely
excited
make sure I get a chance to watch it.
yeah, to see that, like, I'm excited to see what they'll do. I mean, because that, like, after that, it's like, you're going to get one for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You're going to get one for Loki.
Right.
I mean, we're going to get one for all the live action shows that they're doing, and maybe even for the What If series that they're going to drop too. So it's like I'm really looking forward to seeing the thought process when it comes to the creative process, I should say, when it comes to all of these shows. Like, I just think it's dope.
I agree, and I'm glad that they're doing this because they have the platform to be able to do it. I mean, this would be something that in years past you might see on a Blu-ray of a movie, and since we don't get that these days, it's nice to see that they are willing to give you a peek behind the curtain on how they're doing a lot of these shows, including the ones that
Yeah.
they've done so far for The Mandalorian. So
Right.
I really like that they're doing that.
Yeah.
I would,
Agreed.
not to necessarily switch gears, but I would love to see DC do something like that for the Snyder Cut and see some of the making of that behind the scenes
Yep.
and what went into doing that. I don't think that they're doing that, but
Nah.
yeah, we do have that coming up this week as well. So we'll see how that goes.
So we really do need to wrap up here in a couple minutes. I mean, I was going to ask if there's any last minute absolute things anybody wants to bring up, but I would first want to ask, like,
There
you
is
guys,
one thing.
yeah, but first, before you get into that, I do want to ask,
Sure.
like, the Snyder Cut is what, this coming weekend, right?
Yeah,
I assume
Thursday,
you
I
guys are Yasha, are you going to watch it or what's
Oh,
your
no, don't get
plans
me
with
wrong.
it?
I will 100% watch the Snyder Cut. Like, in all honesty, I might even watch the regular the one that they have out there now
Ah,
again before I watch the Snyder Cut, just to see if I can pick up on the differences. I'm just bummed because I know this is alluding to a universe that we're never going to get. Like, we're never going to see. We're never going to see. I can't imagine that we're going to have a huge battle, I guess you could say, with Darkseid. I can't imagine we're going to do that. Seeing the Joker in the latest trailer, I mean, look, I'll admit that I would love to see more of Jared Leto's Joker, even from the Suicide Squad movie. But it's like the sepia format and everything that he's in when it comes to like the flash that they have of him as the Joker. I feel like that's just going to be part of the dream sequence that Batman has. Thus, being fleeting, and it'll be like maybe Jared Leto on set for a day's worth of work, and we're not going to really get a chance to really see this Joker or this incarnation of him for this movie. It's just, and that kind of bums me out because having this world being built out for us to never get it is kind of depressing. And when it comes to like, Warner Brothers already starting to talk about recasting Superman and doing, a whole nother story with that. And it's just like, there was so much left, I feel like, with this timeline that they have. And it just alludes more into what I say all the time is that Warner Brothers has no idea what to do with their products. They just throw whatever out there to see if it'll stick and see if they'll make money on it. But yeah, I'm excited to watch it. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, I'll definitely be watching it. I don't know where I'll fit the 4 hours in, but I'm going to watch it at some point. Bobby, I assume you're watching it as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm excited to see it. I am one of the few people who unabashedly loves the Justice League movie as is. I think that I really have a soft spot just for seeing characters that are not necessarily singular in the way that they go about things, but they have their own lanes, and then to bring them all together, whether it's the Avengers or in this case, Justice League, seeing all those characters together on screen just is, um, you know, catnip for me in the way
Yeah.
that I think it just I appreciate seeing that. So even though I can have faults with the movie itself as a whole, just seeing them operate together and some of the things that I just felt like were pure comic book moments from that movie make me love it on that level. That being said, I am excited to see what Zack Snyder has done with it and to see his vision played out in full. Only thing I'm not excited about is not being able to see it in an IMAX theater because
Yeah.
of the aspect ratio and having to watch it like that on HBO Max. That's probably the only thing I'm bumping up against. But aside from that, I am definitely excited to see it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the aspect ratio thing. I mean, once I found that out, it makes complete sense. I get
Yeah.
why it's being presented that way, but it's a bummer since we're all watching it at home. Like that we can't,
Yeah.
that we're
I
gonna have
wish
to watch
actually,
it with bars on the left and the right, like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
with that said, I wish that we actually were all close enough that we could actually just all watch it together. That'd be a lot of fun.
it would be fun if we could do that.
Yeah,
But
it would be cool. Yeah, I
yeah,
actually will probably be watching it with my son on. So you guys might see it before me. I don't know when you'll see it, but I was told him I would wait and watch it with him on Saturday. So I'm holding off until then to see it.
I'll either watch
But
it
I mean,
Friday or Saturday
I watch
night.
it on Saturday. Yeah,
Yeah,
I always
yeah,
think I might try on Friday, but if I can't get to it on Friday, then I'll definitely watch it on Saturday night.
yeah. But yeah, we are super short on time. But Bobby, you sounded like you had one thing you wanted to bring up.
yeah. I mean, I'll save some of the other stuff for next week. But one thing I definitely wanted to give a shout out to was a movie that I had heard about for a while that's been in development and couldn't find a home for the longest time. And that's Frank Grillo's Boss Level, which is now on HBO, not HBO Max, on Hulu. And it has Frank Grillo and it has Mel Gibson and Naomi Watts in it. And it's a new entry into the time loop genre. So it's basically a Groundhog's Day, but it's Groundhog's Day of an action movie. And Frank Grillo plays the main character of this who keeps dying because people are coming after him to kill him for some reason that he has to find out why. And the action is ramped up and it's just a thrill ride. It's a fun movie. It's like this is one of those types of movies where I feel like I wish there were more of this type where it's kind of made for a streaming service, so not necessarily something to go see in the theaters, but still enjoyable even though you're sitting at home watching it. And it plays with that format. Doesn't necessarily do anything new with the format, but I just enjoy that aspect of this character has to learn how to get out of this loop. And doing it in an action format with Frank Grillo, I thought worked out really well. So I definitely would recommend people to watch that if you're looking for an action movie and that's fun and has that genre to it. It's a good one, Boss Level on Hulu.
I don't even know if I was aware of
I'm
it. So,
I watched the trailer and I'm actually interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I think you might like it too, David.
all right, good to know. Yeah, with that, we unfortunately have to wrap things up and get out of here. As always, we would love to hear back from everyone listening and watching. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions and comments. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure to comment down below with your questions or comments. Hit the like, subscribe buttons, and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever we go live or post any videos in the future. It turns out we are also streaming live tonight on Facebook and Twitter for the first time. Kind of an experiment, so I haven't really brought it up to anyone, kind of seeing how it goes. But if you're watching us on there, welcome. Thanks for watching. Make sure to also like and comment wherever you do that on Facebook and Twitter. So again, thanks for watching. You can also reach out to us on Twitter, of course, at Twitter or Flicker_effect and Instagram at the same address, Flicker_effect. With that, I'm David Lott.
Bobby Jackson.
And I'm Yasha Wilson.
Thanks for listening and watching.